Nick. My name is Nick Padula. I'm a registered dietitian. Today, we are going to be reviewing fueling your body for exercise. So we are going to be touching on a couple different things. The difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist is the first thing we're going to talk about. We're going to define exercise. We are going to talk about the three main macronutrients: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. I know that everybody knows those big three. I know people have thought of eating for your macros and all of that, but we're going to break that down. We're going to talk about what that means, and we're going to talk about energy recommendations for an individual person, for weight loss, for weight gain, for a specific sport. We're going to touch on a lot of different things, as well as fad diets and more. So I may go off topic, tell a funny story, what have you. I'm Italian. I talk with my hands too. So bear with me. Let's have some fun. So let's start with the first slide, introducing myself. I know I just did it, but we'll go a little more into it. So my name is Nick Padula. I'm a registered dietitian, currently getting my master's in sports nutrition from Texas Tech University. I graduate this coming spring. So I've been a practicing dietitian for 7 years in the state of California, mostly in the Los Angeles region. Currently I work as a consultant dietitian, and I own my own private practice. My previous experience has included management in hospitals, management in long-term care facilities, as well as outpatient counseling, and working with athletes in my private practice as well. So I studied at Long Beach State University, Go Beach, where I received my bachelor's degree in 2012. And like I mentioned, I'm getting my master's degree. I am a sports fanatic. My wife is also a dietitian, so that's we have like a little zone there that we can talk to things about. And we are now the proud parents of a 4-month-old boy. So if he starts crying, I apologize. All right, let's get started. So I'm aware that there's a lot of TikTok influencers and Instagram and all Facebook. We see so much different information, not only about nutrition and food, but about the medical field in general, or about vaccines, of course, or about things like that. So I want to urge everybody, first and foremost, to be aware of your source of information. So a lot of people you might see claim themselves as nutritionists, but there's a difference between the two. So a registered dietitian is a board certified food nutrition expert that uses evidence-based science to help individuals reach their wellness goals. So an RD or RDN, you'll see letters after somebody's name. They are required to complete a bachelor's degree accredited by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, complete 1,200 hours of supervised practice in various fields of dietetics with a registered dietitian, kind of like an internship. Takes about a year. We have to pass a board certified licensing exam, and we have to complete continuing educational requirements to maintain our licensure. That's an RD or RDN. A nutritionist, if you've read a Men's Health magazine or a Self magazine, you can call yourself a nutritionist. It's an uncredentialed title. Anyone can call themselves. So just want to be aware of checking the source. Go to the professionals, listen to the professionals. What you read on Facebook is not always true, but just always look at the author and see what their credentials are, and look for the RD. So okay, let's go. Let's keep going. So we're just going to define exercise. Okay. We're all here. We work out. We want to work out. We used to. We're athletes, what have you. So the human body is in a constant state of metabolic action to function. During exercise, these energy demands increase, and the respiratory and cardiovascular systems have to work harder to maintain. The body adapts to the type of exercise. It could be sustained, like a long run, a marathon. It could be short bursts, like your Peloton for 20 minutes, or high intensity interval training. The exercise that we do, the duration, the intensity is gonna make for different energy needs. So second. So the form of energy that we use is ATP. I'm sure if you go back to 8th grade biology, you remember adenosine triphosphate, ATP. As exercise intensity increases, ATP use increases. As endurance, the longer our exercise or our training is, ATP use increases. When ATP is low, body can't keep up producing ATP energy, fatigue sets in. This ATP is utilized from the ingestion of food, okay? Carbohydrates and fat, mostly carbohydrates. Our best source of fuel is carbohydrates. So we'll get into that later. Let's review these 3 macronutrients and their role in fueling the body. So carbs are our friends. This is our best source of fuel, our best source of energy. They're not the enemy. I repeat, they are not the enemy. They are the predominant fuel for exercise and to sustain life. If anyone has ever done a keto diet and you are not eating high complex carbs, starches, grains, you'll get that ketogenic fog. You'll feel kind of lethargic. You'll feel tired. You may feel you're always dehydrated. What do carbohydrates do? What's in it? Carbohydrate. It helps our body hydrate ourselves. It moves water in and out of our cells. The carbs in there, it gets broken down into fuel. So without carbohydrates, we are underfueled. We are not performing the best we can. I can't stress that enough. Ketogenic diet is not for everyone. It's not for, sure it works because we're cutting out a whole food group. We'll get into that later again. But like I said, carbohydrates are not the enemy. It's impossible to meet ATP or energy requirements for exercise and for life without it. Let's go to the next one, fats. Despite what the 1990s taught us, fats are not the enemy. Once again, not the enemy. We use fats for energy storage. Fats insulate our organs and protect our organs. So fat, yes, is good. And fats, you may hear the term fat-soluble vitamins versus water-soluble vitamins. Well, if we don't have proper intake of fat, then these fat-soluble vitamins aren't going to be utilized in our bodies as well as they should be. So we can be vitamin deficient. These are vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. So fats are very, very important. Okay, let's go next one to proteins. We all love our protein, right? I'm going to say off the bat that we don't need as much protein as we think we need, as we're taught to need. We'll get into that in energy needs. I think some of you will be surprised by the energy requirements for protein, or the protein requirements are a lot lower than we expect. But protein builds tissues. It's used for enzymes, which are used in metabolic reactions in our body, which can promote immune system function, hormone production, and it regulates our body, our pH, our acid balance level in our body. Next. So how much of each nutrient do I need? Okay. Like I said before, the level of training and activity determines how much of each macronutrient you need, how much carb, fat, protein. This ATP and energy output is directly correlated with your intensity and duration of exercise. Also directly correlated with your activities of daily living, even if you have a day off, or if you are just working all day at the computer, your energy needs every day go up and down. Think about it this way. I'm a sports fanatic. I love racing. A NASCAR car racing for 3 hours is going to take a lot more fuel, a lot more ATP. If you think about it like a body, a lot more fuel than just my Honda Civic going on a 20-minute car ride. So the longer and the more intense your activity level, the more ATP, the more energy you need. That's why you'll see, and you may have heard, Michael Phelps, the Olympian swimmer, who had like a 10,000 calorie diet a day, because he's that NASCAR car going 4 hours a day in the pool. And then somebody who's might be older or a senior or what have you is not as active. It's pretty simple as fuel. Okay. Up next, so this is So this is the nerdy mathematician part of nutrition and dietetics here. This is what, if you go see a dietitian, they're going to crunch the numbers for you. They're not going to give you, unless you would like it, they're not going to give you a weight. Here's your calories. Here's your protein. It's 2,500 calories. It's 125 grams of protein. Yada yada. It's not going to be like that unless you are that person that have that mind to see it in a mathematic way. But this is a very good slide, a very good thing to have to refer back to. And I urge everybody to do this yourself, just to kind of see and get a feel for how many calories, how many macronutrients. This is kind of how you figure out your estimated needs. Okay. And it depends on how much fuel you're burning, right? Carbohydrates, you have to convert, here's the math, your pounds. If in America, we like to use pounds for everything, only one standard, into kilograms. So you just take your pounds. I'm 165 pounds divided by 2.2, and that's what you would get. So light training for carbohydrates would be 3 to 5 grams of carbohydrate per your kilogram body weight. And that increases as your intensity increases. So moderate intensity, 60 minutes a day of exercise, is 5 to 7 grams per kilogram of body weight. If you're now working out 1 to 3 hours, 6 to 10. If you're working out 4 to 5 hours a day, you're going to have 8 to 12 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight. I will have an example of a 175-pound person with moderate exercise next. Protein. Okay, we'll go here. We'll go ahead just so everybody kind of see. So an example of an adult at 175 pounds divided by 2.2 is 79.5. So that is your kilogram weight. So at moderate intensity, right, let's go back. We'll take a look at our carbohydrates, and 5 to 7 grams per kilogram of body weight is what I need at 175 pounds. So that's 79.5. If we go forward, times 5 is 400. 79.5 times 7, that 5 to 7 range will give us 400 grams to 555 grams of carbohydrate per day. So there's within that recommendation, there's also a range in there as well. So it's not a specific, I need to hit this much, right? So this is where it can get, I'm a little confusing, or it could be overwhelming, but that's why we have a range. That's why there's different ways of training and teaching people to read the nutrition labels, and there's different ways of counting the carbohydrates and all that. But this is just an overview, a range, right? So let's go back. Let's look at protein. So 0.8 to 1.0 grams for protein. We can go back. So once again, we're back at the kilograms. So 0.8 to 1 grams of protein per kilogram for the average adult. Endurance athletes need more, 1.2 to 1.4, and 1.6 to 1.7 grams for the resistance athlete, somebody that's building muscle. So even for that bodybuilder that is eating, their whole rotisserie chicken and all that they may be eating more protein than they think. So on the highest recommendation level for protein, let's take our 175-pound athlete and say that he's a resistance athlete, right? So he weighs 79.5 kilograms. This person would need 135 grams of protein a day. That doesn't seem like much, right? But the human body can only process, our kidneys can only process so much protein and utilize it. If we process too much, then we're gonna either store it as fat, or we're going to have expensive pee. We don't want expensive pee, right? We can only, it's our body's way of using only what we need. Protein has always had because carbohydrates and fat have the bad rap, protein picks up that torch and says, we just got to eat protein, keto diet, Atkins diet, what have you. This is how you stay lean. This is how you build muscle. Yes, but we don't need as much protein as we think we need. Okay. Next. Let's go back to fat really quick. So fat's a little different. If we calculate how many calories we need, fat is 20% or 35%. It fills in the pieces of from carbohydrates and protein. We round out our diet with fat. So 20% to 35% of our intake is recommended. Percent of caloric intake is recommended a day. So if we have a 2,000 calorie diet, we're going to have 45 to 75 grams of fat. So on a whole, our 175 pound moderate exercise athlete, we go next, is going to have a range of 45 to 75, 65 to 80 grams, 400 to 555 grams of carbohydrates. So this will range, I forgot to label it, but that will add up to about a 2,265 to 3,215 calorie range per day. So if you have, if you work out for an hour and a half or 2 hours, a little longer, or if you're a little, or 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but on average, your moderate intensity, your range is going to be at 2,200 to 3,200, give or take in there. And that is proper fueling for macronutrients, carbs, fats, and protein. Got a question that just came through from Jonathan. Should I drink a protein shake or eat a meal before or after a long workout? So we're going to get to pre and post workouts, what to eat before and after, but I can answer that. So ideally, you want to eat something with carbohydrates, fats, and protein about 3 to 4 hours out of your meal. I mean, of your training. It depends on your training and what you're comfortable with from stomach fullness and what you can tolerate before. Let's say like a long workout would be like a hour and a half run. I might not be able to tolerate a heavy protein shake 30 minutes or an hour before, but I can tolerate a big meal 3 to 4 hours before. It kind of depends on, like I said, what you can tolerate. A protein shake before is fine, just as long as you aren't. If it's a long workout over an hour, yes. Long story long. And after, I'll answer that one later. Good question. So, which kind of brings into what is your goal, right? Weight gain, weight loss, and performance. Okay. So weight gain, that 2,200 to 3,200, let's say your goal is 2,500 a day and you calculated that out. Weight gain, you want a surplus. You want to eat more than that, right? It's pretty basic. Weight loss, you want to eat less than that goal that you have calculated for you. And performance, if you want to be the best, have the best performance for a competition or just for training for life, meet those needs in that range. So there is no secret. There is no shortcut. If there was a secret supplement, workout regime, book, drink, juicing, whatever, I would be a billionaire. It's just as simple for weight loss, for weight gain. Eat more than you put in, or eat more than you output. Weight loss, eat less than your output. So, yeah. So here we go, John. Timing of meals pre, during, and post exercise. So an ideal mix of that would be beneficial is carbohydrates, fats, and plant protein will help you get ready 1 to 2 hours before activity, right? So like you want to eat a balanced diet of plant protein, ideally, or just protein, carbs, and fats before, an hour to 2 before, whatever you can tolerate. During, carbohydrate consumption is not necessary during exercise lasting less than 30 minutes. Okay. If we're at the gym and we're just kind of cruising around doing some weights, kind of like an off day, but still training, less than 30 minutes, you don't need to have anything during, just water. If you're going greater than an hour, like a long run or a bike ride, or you're really hitting it hard in the gym or Peloton for over an hour, you're going to need to replenish your carbohydrates, your ATP, so you can keep performing. You can so you don't hit that fatigue, that wall when you run out of gas, when you run out of ATP. So consume 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour. So that's your first hour of exercise. And I'm going to keep going till 2. I need 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates, you may think like bread, banana, what have you. But if you're during exercise and you're running and you're biking, this is Gatorade. This is juice. This is a banana. This is a goo packet. This is something, it's more of like a simple sugar carbohydrate, something that's utilized quickly, that don't need to break down, something you can tolerate while you're running or while you're or biking or like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's in the gym. He's not going to hammer down a sandwich in between his 2-hour session. He's going to drink something with simple sugars in it so he can tolerate it. Your body can digest it while you're training. And it's something that quickly just gets utilized as fuel, something with simple sugar. And then after exercise, this is where your protein shake would come in, because you want something that within the 30-minute window after you exercise, you want carbohydrates and a complete protein. Whey protein, casein protein to help fuel recovery and sustain hardworking bodies after a tough workout. So if you're able to eat real food, that's great. Protein shakes are super simple because you can pack it in your bag and you're driving home from the gym, or you don't feel like eating right after a long run or a long bike ride. You can have that at that protein shake. But us dietitians, we have a saying, real food first, meaning food, just actual hard, just food comes first. If we cannot or aren't able to tolerate food during a run or after exercise, then that's when we use a supplement, or that's when we use a protein shake. But if you're able to have a sandwich or something or real food, definitely. But if not, protein shake is okay. Okay, we got another question from Luis. Luis is a lean person, but I'm trying to push it further to like 6 or 7%, I assume, body fat, but it's becoming really hard to deal with the hunger. How can I go about my diet to really eliminate hunger and gain more energy? Luis, we talked about energy, right? Where does energy come from? Carbohydrates. If you are having trouble with energy, you're probably under fueling, right? 6 to 7% body fat, that is for an elite level athlete. Not saying you're not, but I'm saying that's very, very low. When we see athletes that are at 5% or less, that's when we get worried, because we do need fat in our bodies. Like we talked about, we need fat for our metabolic functions, our hormones, and to protect ourselves. So I would say that you might be under fueling. One thing you can do is to eliminate hunger. If you want to stay lean, you would go for things that are nutrient dense, but not necessarily calorically dense, meaning broth-based soups or raw vegetables. Drink some water, things that promote fullness like that. Fruit has a lot of water in it mostly. So things that make you feel full, but not necessarily are calorically dense. But I would urge you, Luis, to take a look at the energy requirements, get a good idea what is proper fueling for you, and see what you are eating on a normal day, and kind of compare the two. I would guess that you might be under fueling, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to gain weight if you're under fueling. If you're meeting your needs, you're not going to necessarily gain weight. You'll stay lean because you'll meet your energy requirements. You won't be at a surplus. So hopefully that answered Luis. Min has asked another question. What foods do you recommend for long workouts that help prevent digestive issues like upset stomach? So long workouts, this is common. Things that may cause an upset stomach are things with too much sugar in it. So like your Gatorades, when we're working out, if our bodies can't utilize the sugar or whatever we eat, it's going to cause an upset stomach, right? You may even have some diarrhea. We call it runner's trots. If you can't tolerate the food you're eating. So you would recommend maybe having a Gatorade and maybe cutting it with water. A properly balanced hydrating solution that I like to use is Body Armor Light. It's coconut water based and it has less sugar. And because of I don't want to get too nerdy, but the osmolality is perfect for basically the carbohydrate balance in it is perfect for digestion, especially during exercise. So Body Armor Light is very good. Try cutting Gatorade with some water to kind of dilute it a little bit. And bananas always work. Bananas are, well, give it a try. Not always work, but give it a try because it's just easy to digest during exercise. So try that. Diane, I usually take naps after my workouts because I end up exhausted. Do you think this could be a sign of overtraining? Diane, I think it might be a sign of, it could be both, right? It could be a sign of under fueling and maybe overtraining. It could be a little bit of both. So if you're properly fueled before, during, and after, you should be A-okay. You shouldn't be totally wiped out or exhausted. If you've done a couple days in a row of this overtraining and you take naps right after, then you may be overtrained. I always would say, listen to your body. If you're waking up and it's really hard to get out of bed and to move around and you just kind of aches and pains, don't push it. Take a day off, because the recovery part of sports nutrition is just as important as the activity, as the eating, as the fueling, as the hydration. So I would take a look at your intake before, during, and after, and see where you think you can improve on in there. Good questions. Okay. Also, Diane, take a look at hydration too. You may be a little dehydrated. So this is our urine color chart. So we would probably learn this back at PE in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. But this is extremely important here. If we are dehydrated, our performance goes down greatly. Or we feel bad. We're not going to perform well. So what our the saying is, go for the silver and not the gold. You want your urine color to be more of like a lemonade or like a silver color, not gold. So and a quick rule that we have is that for every calorie we need, if you figure out your calories, let's say our guy has 2,500 calories, that's his estimated needs, then we need to consume 2,500 milliliters a day. That's our quick rule of hydration. I also, this is a good one for Diane too. If I would urge you to weigh yourself before you start exercising and weigh yourself after. However many pounds you lost, you need to replenish your body with 16 to 20 ounces after to be properly hydrated. So if anybody watches Formula One racing, you'll see as soon as they park their cars, the drivers, they get out, they go right to a scale and they weigh themselves. So that way they know how much fluid they lost and know how much fluid they need to intake to get back to their proper hydration level. So I urge everybody to do that. So for example, I was training for a half marathon a couple months ago. I did the whole thing, weighed myself before and after. I lost 7 pounds during my, I think it was about 9-10 mile run, and not even that hot of a day. But if you're a sweater, then you know that you may need to have a little more intake of sodium, a little more intake of fluid before, during, and after exercise, because dehydration severely impacts your performance as an athlete. So try that. You'd be surprised how quickly you can lose weight, how quickly you can just be depleted of fluids. So hydration. Check your pee. Sleep. So this is Diane likes to take her naps. That's great. I'm a nap guy too. So Diane, you might not be getting your 7 to 9 hours recommended for adults. This is all part of recovery. Sleeping, napping is okay. There was a research article that came out a couple months ago, and they found out that there was a recommendation for the golden hour of sleep, meaning where your circadian rhythm is at its best point to fall asleep, and after 7 to 9 hours at your best point to wake up. So where you can, it decreases your risk of cardiovascular disease and other chronic diseases. And that golden hour was between 10 and 11 p.m. So anytime before, you can oversleep, and that's not good. Or wake up too early. And if you stay up too late, then that's not good as well either. Not enough sleep can change your hormone balance. It can even promote weight gain. Because your hormones are off, and you're not running on your full, where you should be running and to your full potential. So, really try and focus on sleep. I treat it like, well, not with a 4-month-old baby, but I would treat it like training, where I want to set myself up for like sleep success, right? I want to go to sleep between 10 and 11. I want to make sure I'm in a cool place, between 72, 78 degrees is ideal. 76 degrees is ideal. Make sure it's dark, and focus on, I like to listen to the radio and fall asleep because I feel like I'm old. But it's kind of, you want to like treat sleep and recovery just as much as you take the training into consideration. So, okay, supplements. Everybody is looking for that quick fix. Everybody wants something to help them. There are so many different supplements out on the market. So the FDA, Federal Drug Administration, does not oversee supplements. Therefore, anybody can manufacture supplements. Anybody and everybody can claim that this supplement has does this benefit, it does this for you, it has this in it, it's going to get you jacked, it's going to get you lean, you're going to be running forever, you're going to, you're going to stop aging, the whole thing. Supplements are scary because since the FDA doesn't regulate them, we don't know what's in them. So there was a study done a couple of years back about a third-party company went and took a whole bunch of different supplements off the shelves and actually tested what's in them. And they found it like sawdust. They found fillers, just like sugar pills, things that aren't, a lot of things that weren't on the label that was not in that supplement because FDA doesn't regulate them. But good for us. We have trusty dietitians, trusty scientists to do research and to decipher this research and to come up with recommendations for supplements. So one big thing I can stress, look at your multivitamins, look at your supplements, look at your whey protein. There needs to be, for it to be not FDA approved, but there's a couple different third-party organizations that do testing on supplements to make sure that what ingredients claim to be in the supplement are actually in the supplement. So you'll either see like a blue ribbon seal or a check mark or something on the label that says that, yes, this brand went to a third-party company to double check what's in it. And yes, it's approved. What they claim to be in this pill, supplement, powder is actually in this. So one of the main companies is called NSF. And that is, if you go to the NSF website, I forget what it's called, National Sports Federation, but it's nsf.org. If you just type in NSF supplements, you'll go to the website, and they have every single one of their approved supplements, all organized by what they do and for what, and to it's all approved. So like when I go and search for, when I'm looking for another supplement, or if I'm looking to even just like buy melatonin for promoting sleep, or to buy a multivitamin, I'll go to the NSF website and take a look and try one from there. So let's go back to supplements. Let's check out Mike. Okay. Mike asked a question. I love doing intermittent fasting, and most of the time I exercise on an empty stomach. Do you have any food recommendations I can eat on my last meal before I start my fast? Mike, it depends on how long that fast is. So this is, I wouldn't recommend this for everybody, but Mike, if you can do it, that's fine. You can exercise on an empty stomach. Also, it takes a lot of courage to do intermittent fasting. There is research out there that shows that it does improve longevity. It improves it's kind of hormone and insulin balance. It's not for everybody, but if you can do it, there are some benefits to it. Research has shown. So, Mike, any food recommendations to eat on your last meal before? I would say something that has all three macronutrients: carbohydrates, fats, and protein, and make sure you hydrate properly, Mike. All three big macronutrients and hydration so that you're ready to go. Okay, so back to supplements. There are 4 supplements that are the most researched. I mean, I'm talking about since the 70s research. There's thousands of millions of sample size, thousands of subjects, all this. So the 4 most researched supplements: caffeine, creatine, whey protein, and sodium bicarbonate. Caffeine, we know what that is. It's a stimulant, right? It's in coffee, it's in a supplement form, it's in sodas, it's in energy drinks. We know what that is. Creatine, our body synthesizes creatine. Our body has its own. It's already in our bodies, right? It's a muscle protein. It helps synthesize muscle protein. It's in our bodies already, but we can also take it as a supplement, and that improves muscle performance. Whey protein, we know it's a protein powder. It has all essential amino acids. Whey is the protein from milk, and sodium bicarbonate is it's a compound element, and it regulates acid-base balance, pH balance in our body. Sodium bicarbonate, it's like Alka-Seltzer. So what these 4 do, caffeine and sodium bicarbonate, when taken before or during exercise, it can increase your time to fatigue. Studies have shown, meaning it delays fatigue. Caffeine, about 100 to 200 milligrams is the recommended dosage. Be careful with caffeine, because if you're sensitive to it, you can get jittery, you can get some gastrointestinal problems. So be careful with caffeine ingestion. A regular cup of coffee, like whatever the tall Starbucks, is about 140 milligrams of caffeine for reference. So, but if taken before exercise, about an hour before, 100 to 200 milligrams, or during a very long run, caffeine can help delay that fatigue and actually improve performance. You'll see that a lot of the pre-workout powders have the caffeine in them. There are some like goo packets and like Cliff Bar gels that endurance cyclists and endurance athletes take. They have caffeine in them because of their performance, their performance benefits. If you are sensitive to caffeine, you can take sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate, think of it from an acid and base standpoint, right? So when we're exercising, lactic acid gets built up, our muscles get tired, that extra acidity in our body creates that fatigue, creates that soreness, creates that tiredness. The sodium bicarbonate is a base. So base will neutralize the acid, and then we can delay our fatigue because of that sodium bicarbonate. So sodium bicarbonate, like I said, it's in Alka-Seltzer is the over-the-counter brand for that. Stephanie has a question. I heard fiber is not recommended before a workout. Should I keep my fiber intake low before my workouts? Yes. So it depends on how long you're training for. If you're training for an hour or less, like a light activity, you're probably not going to feel those GI, those stomach discomfort issues, because you're not training as hard. So your stomach, your digestive system can do its thing naturally. So, but if you're on a long run, if you're at a long bike ride, if you're really hitting it really hard for a long period of time, your body is not going to focus on digesting the fiber because it takes a lot to digest and break down fiber. It's going to focus on working out. So what is it going to do to the fiber? It's going to try and get rid of it and try and eliminate it. So this is where you get an upset stomach, or this is where you might get diarrhea, runner's trots. This is why you really need to know your body, what your training regimen is, and how to feel before that, because GI symptoms can make or break your training or your competition, whatever it may be. So before your hard workout, Stephanie, I would definitely have something low in fiber. If you're having, like, let's say, a breakfast with toast, have white bread, have sourdough bread, something easy to digest. Or if you're going to have something with fiber, have it 3 to 4 hours before your workout, or have it after. I know before my long runs, I won't have anything with fiber in it. I'll have just kind of like, if I need carbohydrates, I'll have that sports drink, or something with low fiber in it. So definitely keep in mind, this fiber is hard to digest. We don't want to be digesting something hard when we're exercising, when we want our energy elsewhere in our bodies. Good question. Back to creatine. Creatine has been shown to, let's go back. Creatine has been shown to improve muscle performance, meaning we have all these different, this is research and these studies on athletes, and they're in a lab, and we give 100 of them nothing. We give 100 of them creatine. The 100 of them that get creatine, this is just for example, this is what's out there. The ones that get creatine, they actually have a stronger performance of whatever it is that they're doing in the lab, whether it's running or cycling or weightlifting. Creatine does improve your muscle performance. You can lift more weights, you can lift longer, you can run further. You actually can. It's definitely one of the most researched supplements. The dosage for creatine, it does take a loading phase. So if you're going to take creatine, look into the loading phase of it, and then there's a loading phase of 3 to 5 days or 28 days, and then you take it for a duration of 3 milligrams or 5 milligrams a day. And whey protein, also casein protein, it does increase muscle protein synthesis, so meaning rebuilding your muscles after exercise. Okay, next slide. So like I talked about, be aware with supplements. It is an industry that it's like the old snake oil salesman in the 20s and 30s, right? It's the Wild West. So be careful of supplements. So you can be aware of, or some red flags, right? If it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. If there's a celebrity endorsing the product, it raises a red flag. So there's this commercial, I think it's Nutrigenics, or it's like the high testosterone supplement, and it's on commercials when I watch football, and there's ex-football players, ex-baseball players on it, and it's for men and older men that would feel young again, increase your libido, increase your muscle mass, be lean, get girls, like hit home runs. It's like, okay, probably not going to end up being like the ex-pro athlete that's killing it, because if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So definitely raises a red flag. Like I talked about, look for that third-party verification. If you're buying B12 vitamins just from Target or whatever it is, or omega-3s or fish oil, they may not even have 100% of that fish oil in there. It could be 50% fish oil and 50% cottonseed oil, whatever it is, or in that whey protein that you pull off the shelf that's not verified. They can just sell it with not sawdust per se, but half whey protein and half powdered sugar, because nobody's regulating it, right? So, and with the, if it sounds too good to be true, it might be. You may just end up with really expensive pee if you're taking a lot of different supplements that aren't regulated, that aren't gonna proven to have benefits. You might just end up with expensive pee. Mark asked a question. I have been on keto for about 5 weeks and I want to get back into jogging a few times a week, but I run out of energy so quickly. What is the best way to eat for energy when you're on keto? Mark, buddy, you're not going to like this. And I think a lot of you can maybe answer this too for Mark. You need carbohydrates, man. Keto's tough because if you're not, remember, carbohydrates are the number one source of energy for your brain, for your body, for your muscles, right? Keto does work because you're in a sense of you're going to lose weight because you're eliminating a whole food group, okay? But you're going to be underfueled. So you can either grind it out and stay on keto. You can try caffeine and try and kind of grind through it with some energy, but you're going to be underhydrated. You're going to be underfueled. And it's just, you're not going to be running on your peak performance on the keto diet. So this is kind of like the fad diet for now, right? The keto diet. From a body biological standpoint, it does work because your body is using fat for fuel and you're burning fat, you're using fat, but fat is not the best source of fuel. Fat gets broken down into ketone bodies, which is why we call it keto diet. These ketone bodies, they produce not as much ATP energy from the ketone bodies as carbohydrates do. It's not an efficient source of fuel for the body. That's why you feel lethargic. That's why you run out of energy quickly. And these ketone bodies aren't good at moving when they get broken down. They're not good at moving water into your cells as carbohydrates do. So you're dehydrated and you're underfueled, Mark. I would not recommend keto. If you really, really want to, then try and grind through those jogs, man. It's going to be tough though. Okay. Sorry, Mark. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts here. Once again, the supplements unregulated by the FDA, ingredients claimed to be in the supplement may not be in there or to the levels they claim. All right. Which we'll get the keto diet. This is kind of, we'll just go right into fad diets here. So fad diets, they usually eliminate an entire macronutrient group. They eliminate a whole carbohydrate, a whole fat. I haven't seen anyone that gets rid of protein, but was all about low fat. That's why we got the skim milk. That's why we got margarine. That's why we're told to stay away from fat. Fat will make you fat. It does not. We need fat. Excuse me. Atkins diet, keto diet is it now? Paleo diet that usually eliminates a majority amount of starches or carbohydrates, right? So these are also fad diets are calorie restrictive. I know that Noom, the app, it has its good points, it has its bad points, it has its good points where it can teach you to be more aware of your intake and about your habits and patterns, but I've seen it and it can be real calorie restrictive, which is in turn makes it non-sustainable. The big thing with fad diets is why they're fads, they're short-lived, they're effervescent, is because it's so hard to sustain. Mark, I commend you. You've been doing this for 5 weeks. That's very hard, but do you feel like you can do the keto diet for the rest of your life? If not, then, it's just not gonna you're going to go back to however you were in it previously, which may be fine, or your new normal's changed. But fad diets are fad diets because they're not going to stick around. You need to find something that is going to be, it's going to be a healthy lifestyle, something you can do for the rest of your life, something you can do to not feel restrictive. Because if we feel restrictive, if we go on that juice cleanse, if we go on that can't eat carbs, can't eat fats, what do we want? We're human beings. We want what we can't have. And when we go back to normal, we're going to go for it on the carbs. We're going to go for it on the fats and all that. So we need to find a balance. We cannot restrict ourselves. We have to, it's okay eating cookies. Made a whole mess of cookies last night for a party this weekend. I mean, I'm going to have that. That's fine. We need to find a balance. We cannot restrict ourselves. We are human beings. We need to just know who we are and find the best balance for us. Let's go back to fad diets. So I brought up juicing. Juicing is the worst. I hate juicing. So not only does it eliminate an entire macronutrient group, it eliminates all 3 macronutrient groups, right? It's very calorie restrictive. It is not sustainable. I hate how they talk about it, how it's a cleanse. Juice cleanse, cayenne, ginger cleanse. No, the best cleanse. You are born with the best cleanse. It's called your 2 kidneys and your liver. They are amazing. They're insane, incomprehensible. They're out of this world. I don't know. They're fascinating how good, how efficient your kidneys are and your liver are of cleansing your body, of getting rid of waste, of getting rid of toxins. Let them do their job. Drink water, move around. That is your cleanse. It's using your kidneys and using your liver. Okay. There are no shortcuts. There's no quick juice, 2 days, I'm good, lose weight, feel good. It's not going to work. The only thing, I've been a dietitian for 7 years, 5 years of school, still in school as well. After all that, a proper balanced diet with nutrient dense foods and exercise. There's no shortcut. It's just proper diet, exercise, balance. Listen to your body. If you're overtraining, you feel like it, take a day off. If you're tired, sleep a little more, take a nap. If you feel tired during exercise, guess what? You need to put more gas in your tank. You need to have all 3 of your macronutrients, and you need to hydrate. So it's just, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Listen to your body, proper diet, proper exercise. There is no shortcut. Let's go back to the slides here. Like I told you, I was Italian. I get a little heated. Okay, next slide. Exercise, move. Okay, so we know we are human beings. We are made to move. This is something that's just, this is why we get endorphins when we go for a run, when we train, because our body's going, great job. This is what I need. I want more of this. I'm going to reward you with this dopamine rush. We're made to do this. We are, so also with the dopamine rush, exercise reduces our risk of disease. It manages our weight. We get better sleep. We lower anxiety and depression, reduce our cancer risk. We strengthen our bones and muscle. We live longer. We feel good. Exercise, move. But with that also is balance. We don't want to overtrain. So I just, bottom line, we're made to move. Our body is not on loan. We only get one. It always makes me sad when I look at my parents or my brothers that just kind of, they used to be athletes and they either, my dad is overtrained and he cannot train anymore because he's too injured. My brothers are just, they've given up. They don't want to exercise anymore. And I see them and I feel sad because they only get one body. You're just kind of wasting it. You don't get this on alone. This is it. You want to try and live your best and fulfill life. And without your health, you don't have anything. So move, eat right. There are no shortcuts. Hopefully, you guys got some information from this that'll be useful. If you want to check me out on my Kounsel app and ask me some questions, then I'm on there too. I know the link is provided. I know we have 5 more minutes left. If there's any more questions for me, or if you're sick of hearing about me, I totally get it. Okay. Any questions? Laura, what are your go-to methods for avoiding snacking when relaxing? I have an urge to constantly be snacking. Even though it's healthy snacking like nuts and fruits, it still goes out of control. Laura, great question. And this was never more prevalent than last year, 2020, when everybody was at home stuck. And what did we do? We're at home when we're bored. What's in the fridge? I would say there's something called active rest, Laura. If you're sitting home and relaxing and you feel the urge to to eat or what have you, then you're not eating for intake. You're eating because you're kind of bored, right? So this active rest would be sure you're resting, but you're doing something. You're folding clothes. You are vacuuming. You're you're doing stuff around the house. You're doing the dishes. You're just kind of playing with the kids. That active rest will take you out of boredom, and you just won't stop. Will stop thinking about food. There's a difference between being hungry and appetite. Hungry is your biological need to intake calories. Appetite is just your mental desire to intake, right? So we need to just kind of think about something else, do something else, go for a walk around, walk the dog, what have you. If you still have that desire to snack, try and find something that is not calorically dense, like fruits. And fruits, depends on the fruit, can be high in calories, but nuts, like a quarter cup of almonds is like 250 calories. If you have, those are easy to pop in. And you can just easily take in 500, 600 calories like that. So try and find low calorie snacks, right? So popcorn, I have that Boom Chicka Pop, and it's like 2.5 cups is 120 calories. You can just keep going, and you're going to have you're going to intake less carbohydrate or less calories. Carrot sticks, raw vegetables. It's boring, but it will help give you that fix of a snack, but not kill your waistline, but not have too much of an intake, right? So, good question. Okay, any other questions? A lot of different questions here. Really, really good stuff. Stephanie again, or a different Stephanie. What foods are best to eat after a long workout for energy and recovery? So something that has carbohydrates and fat, and you're within that window of 30 minutes to an hour. So you want something that that has like 30 grams of carbohydrates, 15 grams of protein, good balance, and you want to hydrate as well. So nothing in particular, but something that's a whole food, protein, and some kind of. This is when you can have your fiber, Stephanie, after workout. So something with whole grains, brown rice, farro, whole wheat bread, and some kind of turkey, chicken, fish, what have you. I always like to have either like berries or some kind of green leafy vegetables, because that has antioxidants. Antioxidants are good post workout, but definitely hydrate. Okay, you guys, any more? We're almost out of time. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for asking questions. Hopefully everybody didn't get too overwhelmed, but have a better understanding of what to eat and are fired up to go and exercise. All right, everybody. Contact me through Kounsel. The link is on your presentation there. So thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure.